Hello and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, where presence provides perspective and allows peace. We are live on the new streaming network.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard.
All right. Today's topic: why question your core beliefs? Janice, would you like to ring us in?
Absolutely.
Whew. I love that. Janice and I were just talking about how we feel like that singing bowl just takes everything that's running crazy out here and drops us right into being present to do the show for you all. So we want to thank you again for being here now with us. Today we don't have any special guest. Y'all are stuck with me and Janice.
Honored with.
All right, let's get started with our meme of the week. Ta-da! And those of you that watch the show, we have some new graphics. I was feeling a little playful yesterday, so I threw in some new things. Yeah, after my daughter told me that memes were old and played out, I was like, all right, well, let me add some laughy faces and spruce it up a bit.
Yeah, it works.
I can bring it some new life. Yeah, I felt this goes right along with what we're talking about. Why question your core beliefs? Nobody tells you this, but getting into alignment with your inner being can sometimes feel like baptizing a cat. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I went and launched into this work early on back in late 2012, 2013. And all I knew about the spiritual world is everybody was like yoga and incense and dreadlocks. And, you know, everybody's so peaceful and calm. And I was like, okay, all right, that's what I want to be. I want to be peaceful and calm. Well, this journey is up and down. And when you're facing your shadows and doing that inner work and inner child work and realizing things that you have believed your entire life are maybe not true to you anymore, very much feels like baptizing a cat.
Get that right. Yes.
But the most consistent result is, yes, it feels that way, but when you get to the other side, you feel so much better.
Amen.
And each time the process for me has gotten quicker and quicker and quicker. So you feel the feels, but you don't live in them for days, months, years anymore. So, yeah. I've baptized quite a few cats.
You're still baptizing me.
Still baptizing cats.
Yeah.
Everything's moving faster, though, so that's good.
Yeah. True.
Oh, all right. And let's move forward to the good news for this week. We're going to go with joyful story time with Janice.
That's very creative. Oh, I love that. I love the story today. It is, you can find it on, I think, probably all of the standard medias, Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. It's a story, it's the page for Peter Mutabazi. And we're going to show you this video. And this is just the start because I've wanted to share this story. And it's got a lot of parts to it. So I'm going to focus on one part today. Maybe we'll do more later if it speaks to me. But here you go. Here's the beginning of Peter. And I'm going to talk it through since I know we'll be doing this also on radio. And I'll make sure we know what it is. It says right now, Peter Mutabazi shares his journey of raising 3 adopted children on social media. From orphan to foster, Peter Mutabazi shares his journey of raising 3 adopted children on social media. Can't forget about Simba and Ruffy. Mutabazi knows exactly how it feels to live as an orphan. At 10, he ran away from home to live on the street in Kampala, Uganda. Because it was safer than living with his parents. It shows him getting makeup put on by one of his foster kids. Having lived unwanted and loved and seen as the worst of all society and overcoming that, really helps me raise my kids for the same. Being hugged by 2 of his kids. He's African American and his foster kids are white. He's fostered dozens of children as a single parent. And families don't have to match. You don't have to look like someone else to love them. And his story is quite a bit more than that. He grew up in a home in Africa, and his father was very violent. And he's violent towards the kids and his mother. And he decided one day he wasn't going to be killed by his father. So he just went to the bus station and said, I want a ticket for the furthest away you can go. And he ended up in Uganda. And when he got there, he lived as a street child. He lived years just off the street, stealing, begging, doing whatever he had to survive. The part of the story that this doesn't express, it's amazing, is he said one day, he was just a street kid, worthless. One day, some man walked up to him, just started talking to him, and says, well, what's your name? He says, nobody knew my name there. No one's asked me my name since I've lived here. And he said, my name's Peter. The first person that asked him what his name was. So that definitely made an impact on him. And that man helped him and helped him get out of that life and out of poverty. And eventually he moved to America. And as a single African-American man, he decided he wanted to give back. And so he thought he'd try some foster parenting. And one of my favorite stories is, if you can see the boy to his immediate right, and looks like he's probably about 20, 21. And of course, he's Black, and the kids are all white that you see in there. And this boy, his story is, I think it was the first one that he fostered. He got a call. That's what happens if you have foster parenting. You'll get a call in the middle of the night or middle of the day, and you'll just say, we have a child. Can you foster him? So he decided, okay, I'll start. And he had to pick him up at the hospital, and he picked him up. And the first thing that little boy said to him was, can I call you daddy? Which, and Peter says, he was like, well, fostering isn't long-term. He was scared. He said, no, you can't, call me father, dad. And by the end of the weekend, he found out the story where he actually had been adopted and then just got dropped off at the hospital. And Peter said, I've got to take this boy in. And he's called him father ever since. And he's adopted him. And this is his 21-year-old adopted son. So I think that's his first one. He's got 3 that he's adopted now. And he's fostered probably like 38. And he's single. And interesting story is, one of the things that happens to him is he has to carry their adoption papers with him wherever he goes. Because people have called the cops on him.
Oh, wow.
Because he is walking around with these white children, and he's Black, and heaven forbid, and he's had to actually produce this paperwork more often than he wants to prove that he is the father of these kids.
Right.
And one of the foster kids, so his current family is this one more, and he fostered a boy who ended up trying to get back with his mother he was like 16, 17, went back with his mother, then lived on his own, and then said, he came back. So now he's living there too. He's not adopted, but he's an adult living there. You age out of the foster care at 18. You can't be in the foster system anymore. And he's took him back. So right now they've got a semi-permanent family adopted of 3. There's 4 there. They just had 2 foster boys who just left. And they've got 1 foster girl, was a toddler. He said, I don't think I can do babies. I always said, no, I can't do babies. But he took it in, so they get a call and there's someone, and he took him. He took a baby he doesn't show her face because she's not adopted yet anyways. I mean, the whole point of foster care.
Are you predicting?
Yeah. I hope so. It's a funny thing is foster care, you're just taking temporary. The goal is to reunite with the family during that time.
Yes.
And so you're dealing with all the trauma for this child and dealing with them in one of the worst times probably of their life, and having to give them up back to wherever. Maybe someone decides to permanently adopt them, or maybe they're getting back with their parents. But yeah, so he has these videos, and he shows all kinds of stories and what he goes through, and his kids, and just having fun with the kids, like, having makeup put on by his little girl, and it's awesome, inspiring story. And
yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, we were talking about how, there's different ways that you can decide to go when you grow up in a challenging situation like that. And just how important it is. Just one person, that's all you need, is one person to see you and support you and love you. And it helps you to believe in yourself so that you can choose not to follow the path of the example that was set for you. And I feel like it ties right into core beliefs, because he could have repeated the pattern of being an abuser, because that's what he grew up seeing for whatever time he was in his home. And instead he chose to go in a different direction. We either choose to repeat the abusive, destructive patterns, or we choose different.
One of the things too that struck me about the story is when I started working with Judy and Chris, something happened at the very beginning. I was at the stage of my life where I just wanted to be invisible, or felt invisible. Not sure. Maybe both, right?
Both.
And then it just all of a sudden, I think Chris looked at me when I met her someplace, and she looked at me and she saw me, and it was the weirdest thing. And that's how I felt on this journey, is that I'm being seen, and I didn't felt seen before that. So yeah, that was pretty powerful too. And I although we can't see you, I hope that we're reaching out in that same intent.
You're here, so we see you, in air quotes.
Yes, that's right. Very powerful.
I have to share this story only because it's a goofy one. My ex worked for the National Federation of the Blind. She still does, actually. And she does amazing work there. The NFB does amazing work for people struggling, not struggling. They support people that have low vision or no vision at all. And she takes me in to meet the president, Dr. Maurer. I'm going to meet Dr. Maurer, and I'm nervous because, I've heard so much about him, and I go in, and of course he's blind, and he shakes my hand and he says, "Judy, it's nice to see you." And I said, "It's nice to be seen." Now, he didn't think anything of it, but I walked out of there thinking, God, what an idiot. I'm such an idiot. It's not like that's a kind of response I would have.
Oh, thank you, Wendy. Wendy just sent in, this is amazing. And it is. This story of Peter is amazing. Some family friends have fostered 42 babies over the years. Their mission is to take babies who were born addicted to drugs because the mom was taking drugs, which resulted in the babies being taken away at birth. Just amazing. Wonderful people to help so many kids.
Wow.
Amen. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Yes. So, whereas Dr. Maurer energetically saw me, we see you all.
and really, amen.
Visible.
Amen to all of us who've done foster care and who will do foster care and take in kids. It's so hard. It's heart-wrenching and rewarding, and you have to be special to be able to do it. And Yellow, what is the phrase? There's a phrase I can't think of. To
Shout
everyone. Thank you. Shout out. Hug out. Yeah, to everyone who's done that and supported, even if you've just done respite, because that's important. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Respite is super important. I have a client who, her and her husband decided they were going to be foster parents, and they got the call in the middle of the night. It was an emergency placement, and in a matter of 2 months, they went from one baby to 3 kids because the baby had siblings, and they agreed to take the siblings in. And since then, the mother has had 2 more, and they have taken in those 2 as well.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was 4 or 5 years before everything was done and they were able to adopt the kids.
Wow.
So they have all 5 of them now.
They try to keep siblings together when they can. It does help.
They really do. They try their best. Yes. God bless all of you for providing. And there's so many kids out there that need foster care. And I feel like there's a new awareness to it because if anybody's been watching the Olympics, Simone Biles was a foster child. Was a foster. Her and her sister were foster kids for a bit before her grandma her in and adopt them.
Yeah. And just like that's what I did. I adopted my grandchild. Well, step grandchild, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rewarding, challenging. Yeah.
You know firsthand. Yeah. And there are a lot of grandparents out there raising their grandchildren, an awful lot. My cousin is one of them that's raising her grandson. So, yeah, shout out to all y'all. Just pouring love and love and love and more love into these children that come to you traumatized and wounded. And then you show up and you're the most consistent thing in their lives. There is a very special place for you all.
Yeah. I know I tend to think all the things I should do more of and could have done better or so on. But Judy keeps telling me, you are there every day and consistent. And I love her with all my heart. And I'm not perfect. Mm-hmm. And, I do see that. I see that that's a big impact. So thank you.
Yes. Consistency is key because that's what they lack. They don't feel that they can trust anybody and people leave, people disappear. And when they're passed from one foster home to another, they miss that consistency. So, your greatest gift is being there 24/7. Mm-hmm. Anything beyond that is great. But when you have that voice start beating yourself up, that's when you take a deep breath, pause, and say, and I'm always here for her. That's the most important thing. So,
that's an interesting transition into core beliefs, huh?
Isn't it?
Okay.
All right. So we will start our first segment of Pathways to Peace. Yes. So the big question, why question your core beliefs? And I just put the post up on Facebook about the show, and I kind of tweaked the title to say why we question our core beliefs. And first, this meme made me laugh. When it's a dog with a crazy look on his face, it says me when someone says the 5 core beliefs are happiness, reason, nature, progress, and liberty.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I thought we'd start out with, what is a core belief? What are core beliefs? Core beliefs are deep-seated beliefs that people hold about the world in which they live, work, and play. Core beliefs influence everything a person does, from the type of house they buy, the job or career they pursue, through to the life partner they choose. And core beliefs are developed over time based on regular interactions with family, friends, clients, colleagues, and other sources of information such as the media, politicians, movies, and television. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about things that have been, and I realized a lot of mine were subconscious because it was just the influence of my environment and the people that I loved and the patterns that I saw, and they were there. It was just the way I lived. And the funny thing is, it wasn't until Maddie became verbal, my daughter, and could ask why, that I really started to think about things, because you have an inquisitive child, like, why? Well, I do it this way. Why do you do it that way? I don't know. It's always been done that way. And once I started doing this work, the whys didn't frustrate me as much because I wanted the answers as well. But prior to that, it was like, and there were times I'd be like, oh, I gotta have an answer. She's gonna think I'm an idiot. So in the energy of my father, I would just bullshit and make stuff up.
Okay. I think a lot of people do that.
Yes, and not so much about big important things. We would research those, but yeah, something as simple as, why do you cook chicken like that? Well, that's because that's the way my mother did it. Hamburgers are the perfect example. It wasn't until I went home with my roommate from college and she fried a hamburger, I didn't know people fried hamburgers, because my mother always baked them in the oven to bake the grease out of them and the fat. And I thought everybody.
Oh, I love that story. Yeah.
So, yeah. But Janice, when do you remember first questioning or challenging a core belief that you held?
Oh. Well, I think that, there's a lot of questioning, just along the way, but a deep questioning really wasn't, I think, until fairly recently. My last counselor did a lot of, but is that true? But is that true? Now, granted, I think a lot of other people said that to me and other counselors maybe, but I didn't hear it. It didn't really speak to me until then, when I would say, well, I failed. I didn't do this any good. And, well, I'm worthless, or whatever I would say. And she'd say, well, is that true? She'd say, well, what really happened? And I'd say, well, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And it just, and of course, as I said it sounded silly. I would think I'm a failure because I, sent the wrong email to the wrong person. I don't know. But that was big. And then it continued as we started working with you and Chris and Masterful You, in that a lot of it is questioning, because like I really started, I was at the place, that I really didn't think I really felt worthless and unlovable. Not quite sure why I got quite that low, but I was. And a lot of it was just being validated and questioning, so what do you believe? And you're modeling, what do I believe? And it takes a while to switch, but yeah, so I think I probably done it a lot, the questioning, but it really wasn't until I was ready to really hear the question and understand it in a deeper level that I could look at, well, I think I'm worthless because my mother died, I don't know, and left me, and that's how I perceive it. My stepmother was abusive to me and didn't really, squish me. And I think one thing on top of the other, and then you have the lens that's who you are, and you interpret things to be that way, so that when something happened at work, or something happened, or someone said something, or they had a look on their face, it's like, oh, okay, so I got to go back to being invisible because they're seeing me and they're knowing I'm worthless. So it's like, it's just something that just, you believe it about yourself, and it takes so much to get out of that.
Yeah. And I know the work with Masterful You was helped me realize that, when you have those thoughts, okay, the first question is, and I would ask this question with clients. Janice and I were laughing during pregame because, I show up 100% for clients and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to me, It was like, oh no, put her on the back burner. We got to do this for everybody else. So Masterful You was really the first place where it was about, okay, this is the belief you have right now, and breathe, ask to be shown the first time you remember feeling that way. Because when you can get to the core of when the belief imprinted, which, I've been talking about beliefs imprinting for a long time, old outdated beliefs is how we like to talk about them. Then we know we can either choose to continue holding on to that belief the way it is, we can choose to tweak it, or we can choose to get rid of it because it's just not true. And yeah, I have to say this, the structured work through Masterful You is what helped me ground that in me and not offer it, to everybody else and feel that I'm not worthy of the same work and crazy stuff like that. But yeah, it's very interesting to ask to be taken back to that place in your mind where you first remember feeling like, I first remember feeling like I was broken and there was something wrong with me and I was unlovable when I was indirectly told I was fat and needed to go on a diet. Because prior to that, I'm out running the neighborhood, very active, playing sports and all that kind of stuff, and then never dreamed there was anything wrong with me. Then the doctor says, there's something wrong with you. And I had a mother that struggled with weight. So, well, if she hates herself because she's fat, then I need to hate myself too. And I can't be happy as long as I'm fat. And I'm not worthy of love or anything good in the world because I'm broken and I'm fat. And as soon as that was imprinted, every decision I made from that point forward was based in the belief that I was broken and unlovable. So I wound up finding myself, looking back, I put myself in situations where had I been confident about who I was and I didn't feel broken, I wouldn't have been there. So it's very interesting just to see and think about, because we don't know for sure how different things would have been. But there are certain things that have happened in my life in the past. And of course, they happen for a reason and I know I've learned from them. But had I been more confident, would that have ever happened? So yeah, thank you, Silveria. It leads right into the meme that we have. Had I loved me better, I wouldn't have been in most of the situations I've been in. Mm-hmm. So it's not about looking back with regret. It's just understanding that truth. And again, I understand that everything in my life has happened to help me get to the point where I am now.
The lesson I learned was I always thought, I'm not going to go back. Why go back? That's in the past. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't mope in that, shut it out. Go ahead. But again, it's just that balance of recognizing it and understanding it as you move forward.
And really honoring that person, being able to look back, Janice, and honor the little girl, teenager, young adult that you were that got you to where you are now is something to be honored. And that's a big thing I've learned too. It's not about shoving it in a corner and being like, well, whatever, I'm over that now. It's about honoring the fact that she was strong enough to move through what she's moved through and experience what she's experienced to get you to this point. And, that's what I was talking about with the gentleman that you shared in the good news story. He had a choice. He could be abusive like his father, or he could choose something different. And he clearly chose something different. And I feel like you have definitely chosen different than what you grew up in. That is what I see. So I think this is a great place for us to pause and take a commercial.
Yeah, I'm going to get a drink.
All right, we'll be right back. back.
Did you notice on the commercial, the first thing that's posted, it says, be seen.
Oh, no.
And it says, be heard, be known. So I guess that's why we ended up here, huh? Thank you, Cece.
Yes. So welcome back to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show. We are talking about why question your core beliefs. And we were talking about some pretty personal stuff. So if you missed it, go back and check it out. So when I saw this one, I thought it'd be great to generate some conversation, because healing taught me that honesty wouldn't ruin a real thing. Speaking about your feelings won't lose you anything worth having. Setting boundaries won't scare off proper people. Authenticity won't cost you genuine relationships. So that's another big piece of when we start to question our core beliefs and we start to make different choices. People don't talk about that much, but when you decide that you are worth more and you deserve more, and you start to set those boundaries and you show up authentically you, sometimes that pisses off the people in your life that have been able to take advantage of you.
It's true.
And Janice and I laugh and identify ourselves as recovering people pleasers.
Yep.
Because when you feel like you have, very little worth, then it's, what can I do to make people need me? How can I be for them so that they love me? And we become very masterful at morphing into whatever it is other people need. And we lose sight of what our own dreams may be. We lose sight of what our own energy feels like. And yeah, we're making everybody else happy, but we're not filling ourselves up. So
yeah, I remember a point in my life where I was so proudly saying, I can make anybody like me.
I remember that.
I could make anyone love me, like me. I don't know love, but yeah, I really could. I could, sense what people were like and what they liked, and be that person.
And that's just it right there. Be that person. So we take on the things we say we like, the things that they like. And, for me, it was down to music, the way I dressed, everything. I could morph into anything to fit in. And that was a survival technique that I have figured out. I put into play because of that core belief that I was broken. And people wouldn't love me. So I had to go do whatever it took. And it's interesting because, again, my daughter has been the biggest reflector for me. And she would ask questions about, especially when she was going through middle school and all that. Middle school was horrible. But anyway, about friends. And I would always say I wasn't somebody that had a lot of close friends, but I had a lot of acquaintances. I was friends with the band people, the jocks. I was friends with the druggies. I was friends with the music, drama. I was friends with everybody. But that's because I would make myself fit in everywhere I went.
It's interesting because I had a belief that I was too much. That that I was too much, too neat, too whatever. And what I would do with friends is I'd have a lot of friends because I'd be able to share this with that friend, this with that friend, that with that friend. And if anyone left me, I would still have friends. So I had it all set up that I didn't depend on one person, that I could have lots of them. And one of the things that I wanted to share, and if anyone's listening to me from my childhood, is everyone saw me as the happy person. You're always smiling. If you ever open my yearbook, it's you're always smiling. You're always happy. It's interesting. You think about that. Is initially, really, I wasn't home. I was someplace else, and I got positive attention. And so I really did. I was happy. But that being happy and getting that positive attention did carry into beyond that, when it wasn't because I wasn't home, but I just felt like I had to be happy because nobody would be able to handle me. You know, it just came down to that. So I would be myself a little bit, or some people, but I was never myself totally until recently.
You played the role.
It's so healing to like, one of the messages I keep telling myself about being here is there's no right or wrong. You don't have to be right or wrong. You don't have to be this way or that way. Just be yourself. And to be able to actually spend 50, 45 minutes, whatever, a week being myself without any, stuff. It's just, it's a gift, because it's new, and it's amazing that I don't have to be giving. I don't have to be happy. I don't have to be smart. I don't have to be athletic. I don't have to be anything. It's really freeing when you let yourself do that.
Yes, you're beautifully you. Do you find that since you've been doing the show, it's kind of bleeding over more and more into your life?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know who. Yeah. I'm not a great actress anymore.
It's interesting though. One of the patterns I've kept from my childhood, and I don't understand it all quite, this part quite yet, is shutting people out. I still do that. Example, my brother. I've got like the best brother in the world, and he tries to call. He'd give me my Sunday support call. I wasn't always happy with him, which was nice, but maybe because I've shown my unhappy self to him, I can't call him. Calling my family at this point in my life, I can't reach out. I don't know why, but I think about him. I love him. I'm so happy he's my brother. But he would call every week, and heaven forbid I should call him or my sister.
Right.
I don't call. I used to be the person who kept everyone together, right? That was my role then. And now I don't even reach out. I don't know what that is. And I have a step family who grew up with me. My stepsister had kids about my age, and Michelle, Joel, and Rochelle. And I grew up with them. Michelle was closest to my age, and we did a lot of things together. But when my father died, I had to deal with the fact that, we weren't really family, because as soon as he died, my stepmother didn't keep us together. Like my father did. I was with my father and my stepmother, and we were with them. So we were a family. When my father died, I felt like I lost that whole part of my family because it was fake. Because like my stepmother, just like my stepmother, all of a sudden my father wasn't there. We didn't have a relationship.
Right. And
it was, so then I was like, whoa. And to this day, I love those girls and my stepsister, but it's so awkward and uncomfortable to reach out and be with them. And I want it so bad to have that relationship, but I don't do it. I'm scared of it.
That's what's the fear? We know what your fear is. What's the fear?
Well, they don't really love me. That it's all fake. That all of that was fake.
Right.
With my stepmother, my stepfamily.
So here you go. Here's your therapist question. Janice, is that true?
I hope not.
Okay. and how would you know?
How would I know? Well, I think that I believed it all my whole life, my growing up life. And then it just became, at one point in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not real. I'm not really a family. She's not really my mother. And that at that point, I probably had to make a break so that it didn't hurt, because it's like, let me break it off, right? I'm letting go because it's not real. And I've been thinking it's real and loving it all this time.
Okay. So interesting thing. Your good news story was about a man who fosters and adopts children. Is their family real?
Yes.
So why wouldn't yours be real?
Because my stepmother wasn't really my mother that I thought she was.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, she wasn't very nurturing to you. So I feel like the focus is more about your step siblings. Do you feel connected to them?
I don't know. I'm working on it. I
Oh.
want to. And the oldest niece, I spent most time with, and the youngest one actually too. But I'm scared. Yeah, my throat's all tight right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. There's nothing to be scared of. We're just talking about it.
I know.
Yeah. There's no need for fear. There's no need for fear. Because that's the joy of understanding choice. Don't beat yourself up for not calling yet. Don't beat yourself up for not reaching out yet. You're just not ready. And when you can be at peace with the decision that you've made, it opens it up for it to shift. Should you want it to.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, I'm finding that is the key to all of it. Just being at peace with where you are. I'm feeling grumpy today. I'm feeling shitty. I have old stuff coming up that needs, is being released and blah, 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 blah. All these things. Back a couple of years ago, I'd have thought, oh, Lord, I'm going backwards. Blah, 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 blah. No, this is all part of the ride. It's about being at peace with wherever you are in the uncomfortable, because we are meant to feel all of the feels. We're not meant to stuff them down. We're not meant to sit on them. We're meant to feel them and allow them to move through us. Because as long as we honor, no matter whatever the emotion is, it allows us to continue moving forward. If we try to stuff the emotion, we're stuck. It's all about the flow, baby. It's all about the flow.
Yeah. And am I ready to have that, not stuck in there? Am I ready to bring it out?
And when you're ready, you're ready. Don't beat yourself up for not being ready yet. And that's the key. Give ourselves.
But why can't I call my brother, for crying out loud? I don't understand that.
Well, that's something to explore.
Yeah.
You're a different person now than you were 2 years ago when I met you. Maybe you don't need those. It's funny, the word charity phone calls is coming to mind. I don't know if that's how you were seeing them or what, because you love your brother and you love the support he gave you, but I don't know if at some point it shifted. I don't know. There's something there.
Well, I do believe I'm too much, so maybe that's, he was taking it on and he's going to burn out, of me.
And again, you're not the same person you were before. So you don't need as much. You're filling your own cup and doing that inner dialogue with yourself. Shifting beliefs, old outdated beliefs that you're not worthy of love or you are too much. You're shifting them. So your conversations with your brother will shift as well. As soon as you can drop that I'm too much, you are the perfect amount.
Oh my gosh, can you believe the time?
Oh my goodness. Give us
Whoa.
a message.
How much are you going to charge me for this, Judy? Wow.
All right. So moving forward, message from Janice.
My message is thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for accepting me unconditionally. And we are a nonprofit organization who hopefully you can donate some money to us. It's tax deductible, $25. I'll make you a t-shirt. Yes, I'm experimenting with different colors now.
I love it.
And you have to email me at peacefulempowerment@gmail.com to tell me your size and that. I'll do that. If you do 50 or more, I'll do a sweatshirt.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, we want to thank you for choosing to be here now with us, where our presence is providing ourselves perspective and we're allowing peace.
Amen.
Amen. So you can catch us on our website at peacefulempowermentworks.org. And again, if you want to email us for any reason, not just t-shirts, any topics you want to talk about or whatever, peacefulempowermentworks@gmail.com. And please always remember, Janice.
You're not alone.
And never forget, you are awesome. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.